What's going on, guys? This is your boy Shamburger TV. And if you like the content, please hit the like button, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so that you won't miss any videos that your boy posts. Alright? Cool? Now, enough all that talking. Let's get to what y'all came to see. Alright, so for the people, state your name and what do you do for a living?
My name is Dr. Cordelia Anderson. Tell me what's the other thing you said? I'm sorry.
What do you do for a living?
Where am I from?
No. What do you do for a living?
This is why I had to come inside. I'm so sorry. It's
Oh,
noisy outside. Even though it's nice, it's noisy. What do I do for a living? I
yes.
am a professional singer, professional opera singer, as well as professor of voice and performance at Alabama State University.
Okay, let's start like from the very beginning. Like, where did you grow up at?
I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. I had my start in music at a young age. I started singing in church, like most people do, about the age of 4, and I've always stayed in the choir. I've always sang in the kids choir. Then as I got older, I sang in the adults choir or the young adults choir. And I did middle school choir as well as high school. So I knew I wanted to sing. I just didn't know that I wanted to major in music. Um, but I figured that out when I enrolled in ASU in the fall of 2003. So I became a music major at ASU after having all of that, all of those few years, many years of singing.
Okay, now and that leads me to my next question, which is you said you just mentioned you attended Alabama State University, and so did you receive all your degrees from there?
I only received one degree. So I have a Bachelor of Arts in Music from ASU. And ASU gave me a lot of my foundation, especially in classical music. That was my first introduction to classical music and singing opera. I had never
Mhm.
heard of it. I grew up singing gospel all of my life. I knew about R&B and B and jazz just from the radio stations and the music center in Birmingham, but I never had any connection with classical music. And Alabama State University introduced that to me. So I have my bachelor's from ASU. I have a master's in music from Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, Illinois. And I have
Okay.
my doctorate, a DMA, a Doctor of Musical Arts from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
Okay, and what was it like attending at HBCU?
Oh my goodness. It was wonderful, especially coming from a predominantly white high school. Um, I have grown up in a predominantly black neighborhood all of my life until my family decided to move to the suburb of Birmingham called Hoover. And
Mhm.
so I went to Hoover High School. I actually graduated from Hoover High School. We lived in Hoover for the last 3 years of my high school. And it was a culture shock for me because I had not, at that point, up until that point, I had only been around Black people. So it was a culture shock. It was really different. I embraced it. It was a good exposure, but I knew after leaving Hoover that I wanted to be at a HBCU. I knew that. I knew I wanted to be amongst my own people, learning from my own people, being a part of that culture. And so being from Birmingham and having family roots at ASU, I knew I wanted to go to ASU. And some of the best musicians in Birmingham that I had been taught by or just influenced by have degrees in music from Alabama State University. So I knew that's where I was going. I knew, and I'm so glad because when I got to ASU, the HBCU culture was exactly what I thought it would be. And it
Mhm.
was exactly what I was looking for. I was looking to be in classes with other young Black aspiring young people who wanted to be something in their lives. I wanted to be around people who had the same, like similar background as I, who might not have come from a lot, but is motivated and was motivated to make something out of themselves. I knew about the Greek life. I wanted to do that. My mother was Greek. And so I was exposed to that as a young, so I knew the HBCU culture was what I wanted. And it was the best decision I could have ever made. I'm so glad that my foundation came from there, because being at an HBCU, I think it really helps young Black people to learn and grow in knowing who they are,
Yeah.
and growing from that. You can't get that from anywhere else but an HBCU, where you can be nurtured and you can grow. So that experience for me was priceless, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, I can agree because one thing I learned about attending Alabama State is like the people they definitely welcome you with open arms, including the professors, because you did the same with me, like just welcome me with open arms. Yeah, and you're right, like you definitely not get it nowhere else.
It's
Yeah,
so true. And that's why I knew that, once I figured out my career, that I wanted to teach at a HBCU, and I still feel that way now. If I was to go anywhere else at another university, it would have to be an HBCU,
hmm,
because of what it stands for, what I believe in, what it did for me, and I want to do that for the students of the future. And that's exactly why, I just gave you, Miles, what was given to me. I think every young Black person needs that, because this world, when you get out here in the world, you realize everyone is not, supportive of you and
that's right.
encouraging of you, what you want to do, and there's a lot of barriers for Black people in the world. So I really think the importance of the HBCU is for us to realize, and for me now as an educator at HBCU, to really pour into my students and really help them understand who they are and how important they are to this world and how successful they can be, because it was done for me as well.
Right. And next question is, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, but what made you develop a passion for music?
Well, like, yeah, I did talk about it a little bit. It's just my upbringing. I was so heavily influenced by a lot of amazing musicians in the city of Birmingham. And so it influenced me to just kind of explore more. Like I said, I never thought I would be a music major. I knew music would be a part of my life, but I think it was after I started to major in music and learned so much was when I realized I want to make a career out of this. I want to get out there and see the world, and I have been able to, because of the career that I have. I mean, and so yeah, I really believe it was about my upbringing through church that really
Right.
inspired me.
Mhm.
And that fire kept burning because of my experience in music at Alabama State University. It just kept going and going for me. So those are two big integral parts that played a role in my career of me moving forward. And but yeah, that influence I know came from my upbringing in church.
Okay. Do you play any instruments?
I don't. I
Okay.
play just not well enough to be out here saying I'm this type of player. I play a little bit of the piano just to help my students learn their music, because that's how I learn my music. So I have to have some piano skills to learn those. I did try playing the clarinet when I was like in the fourth grade in a music summer camp. But I never continued because my passion was so driven into singing. So I never really touched the instrument again since then, other than the piano, briefly, like I do to help learn music.
Okay. And so next question is, because like with music, uh, you have like different areas of music, like playing instruments, uh, singing, and as far as like on the tech side, you got like producing, but since your main instrument is your voice, what would you say is the hardest thing about singing and music in general?
Oh my goodness. The most difficult, hardest thing about singing is
Yes.
maintaining the voice health wise. You know, because it's just hard. It's hard. And it's certain things you can't do. It's certain things you can't eat. It's certain things you can't drink. You have to be good to your body. So you sort of have to withhold yourself from certain things that you might like to protect your voice. That's one of the hardest things. The other hard thing can be, no, I would actually say that's the hardest. I was going to say learning the other languages. It's difficult, but it's fun.
Yeah.
And I call it, I say that it's fun. It's fun if you're in that country learning that language. It's not
Mhm.
as fun when you're not in that country learning the language. So
Right.
that's what, and I see my students have that difficulty now because they're trying to learn German and French and Italian sitting in my class, and it's difficult for them. And it's difficult to sing the music in a language that you're not familiar with. It really is. And so that would be the next thing I would find. And I remember that struggle as a student, and I still struggle with it now because I live in America. We speak English here, and so but I'm lucky enough to go to Italy. This will be this summer coming up. So in July I'll be in Italy again.
Yeah.
It'll be my
Okay.
second summer there, and being there and talking to the people and learning the language made it more fun and made it more a little bit more easier for me to grasp it. But I would say those are like the most difficult things about, singing. One is maintaining the voice, knowing when you're doing too much because you don't want to risk any injury to the voice.
Yeah.
Um, and that, like I say, and not being able to do certain things that maybe your other friends do, like my friends can party and have a good time and scream and drink all they want. I necessarily can't do that. I have to be careful with those things because my voice is my instrument. That's what I make my living off of. So that's one of the hardest things is maintaining the voice.
Okay. And of course, I gotta ask the question like, what would you say that would be the easiest thing about it, about singing?
The easiest thing about singing, and I'm saying this because it's me, is doing
Mhm.
what you love. I love to sing. So that within itself makes it easy for me. So yeah, I would say that because honestly, Miles, singing is not easy at all. You gotta love it. You got
Yeah.
to love it to do it because you're fully physically invested in it, if that makes sense. So what makes it easy is that I love it. And I didn't even talk about another thing that can be tough at times with singing is singing in front of thousands of people. That can be tough. Now, I've dealt with stage fright a little bit earlier in my career as I was learning. So it's not as bad. I've gotten over it, but I get still a little bit of jitter, a little
Hmm.
nervous energy every time. And especially if it's an audience that you're not familiar with, that you've never sang before in front of. Church, kind of easy. I still get a little nervous, but the audience is normally the same people. No problem. This past weekend, I sang for Tuskegee's graduation. There was a lot of people in there that I did not know or had never sung in front of before. It was a lot of people in there. So my nerves were like, okay, this is,
Yeah.
so that was a little difficult. It wasn't as difficult to where it kept me doing from what I do well. You
Hmm.
just feel that nervous energy, So getting on stage can be such an adrenaline, but at the same time can be a little overwhelming and difficult to process. So to go back to what you said about the easiest thing, that's the only easy thing I could say about singing is that I love it. If I didn't love it, that would be the only thing. Everything else about it is quite difficult. It is.
Okay. And for the people watching, what does it take to be an effective singer?
It takes a lot of practice, a lot of practice. It takes a lot of vocalizing, being one with your voice, knowing your voice really well, knowing the
Mhm.
limits, knowing what's going too far. Um, Say that again so I can keep going with the answer. One more time, repeat that question for me.
What does it take to be an effective singer?
Effectiveness, right? Thank you.
Yes.
So it takes that knowing your voice, practicing all the time, vocalizing all. If you're not necessarily working on music itself, vocalizing, meaning warming your voice up every day, doing something vocally every day so you keep your voice in good shape. That's how you stay effective. That's how I can quickly go do certain things because I'm vocalizing every day. I might not full out sing a song every day for practice purpose. I might sing along with the radio or something like that. But I think what makes you very effective is just you keeping your voice moving. You know, they say if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yes.
That's true.
Very.
That is true. And singing is one of those things because it's muscle memory. So if you don't do it often, you lose it. And so you lose the effectiveness of it, if that makes sense. So it's singing often and it's practicing as much as possible. That's how you stay effective in your singing.
And see, you mentioned doing warm ups. It's like, and it's like I've been singing. I've been singing for quite some time now. Like I've sang in churches, events, high school, and of course college. And it's like I really didn't realize like the importance of warm ups until I got to Alabama State because it's like it really makes a difference when you saying like when you warm up versus when you don't warm up, because it's like when you don't warm up, I mean, like you can still sing well, but you're not gonna sing as well if you actually warm your voice up. And it's like I definitely noticed that throughout my years at high school and college.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I try not to I try to encourage my students and as well as practice it myself to say that it's important
Yes.
that you warm up and try not to sing anything if you can without moving the voice around it. And it's just like if someone was preparing to do a marathon, they wouldn't just get out there and run. They'll
No.
fall out. They didn't condition themselves. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Singing is the same way. You can't just get out there and do it. You got to do some kind of vocal movement before. So, absolutely.
Okay. And also you know I can't do this interview without touching on some of the fundamentals of music. So let the people know, like, in your own words, what is the difference between a note and a key?
Ah. Okay, so a note. I think of a note as a singular entity. I don't have my keyboard plugged up. I'm going to show you, give you a little listening example here. Because
Okay.
I also teach private students virtually. So I teach from the age of like 6 years old to my college students or older. So I keep my keyboard on hand. I think of a note as a singular thing. One note, two notes, da da da, single. That is, But I think of a key as the origin in which the note falls in. Does that
Right.
make sense? The
Yes.
key is the overall arching idea of where the note falls.
Hmm.
Okay, so I just played for you G. All
Yes.
right.
G. Yeah.
That's just one singular note. But if I was thinking of the key of G, if I want to think about the key, I'm thinking about the overall idea of it. So if I think of the key of G, that's going to incorporate other notes with it.
Yes.
All right. G being the main note, that puts you in the key itself.
Yes.
Does that make sense? I hope that was the best way. I'm not a
Yeah.
theory teacher. I know music and I know that's what makes sense to me. Maybe I should teach theory. I don't know. Maybe students will understand it from my point of view. But yes, that's how I think. So that's your difference between a note and a key. The key is the overall arching idea that the note falls in.
Mm-hmm.
The note is a part of the key, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. And
Yeah.
this could be whatever key you're in, whatever note you're trying to play or sing.
Okay, and that leads me to this question. So, of all the keys, like A major, C major, G major, etc. What would be your favorite key to sing in?
Ooh, it depends on what I'm singing. My voice does well in B flat major. Um,
Okay.
for me to really like want to sing high notes and feel flexible, I do a lot of things in F major. It gives me flexibility. It's low enough for me to sing it, and it's low enough for me to take it however high I want to.
Okay.
And I like C major as well. It's
I
about
love C major.
flexibility. Yeah, it
I
just
like yeah, I like C major, G major, D major, especially, and
D
C
major is
sharp
cool.
and C sharp major. I like C sharp major too.
It's funny how we're saying our favorite keys are majors and not minors.
I like E minor too. My favorite minor would be E minor. Yeah. But it's
But it's
like,
funny.
the thing with E minor, like E minor and G major are kind of like similar. I mean, they're kind of similar, but they're not.
They
Yeah,
call them relative, yeah.
relative.
Relative,
That's what it is. Yeah,
they're
yeah,
relative majors and minors. Yeah,
yes,
yeah. So I get that. That's funny.
yeah,
I just
and
think that's funny when you say that.
yeah, and have you met any famous musicians throughout your
Have I
music
met any
career?
musicians?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, yes. I met a lot of famous musicians when um when I was in Las Vegas. I
Okay.
got a chance to but it depends on what genre and who you would say is famous if you think about that. Because most people are like, this person is famous, but somebody else might not even know who they are. Like Dr. Bobby Jones out of Nashville with the Bobby Jones Gospel Hour and the Super Choir. I've met him a number of times. And I've seen him and sat with him at the Stella Awards. I've met national recording artist Todd Delaney. A lot of these are gospel artists. I got a chance to because I went to the Soul Train, I got a chance to sit around people like Tyrese and Eric Benet,
Okay.
people like that. And so it's really cool. Do I know a lot of famous musicians now and they know me? Yes. Within my field of classical music, yes. A lot of them I am actually friends with. Um, or friends of people who know these famous people, like Richard Smallwood. I have good
Mhm.
friends who are good friends with him. Um, and some of them I'll meet them when I go to certain conferences. It just depends. But I've been able to meet now the person who I want to meet. I hope I can. I got to figure this out in September.
Okay.
But it's Usher. I want to meet
Awesome.
Usher. I love Usher. And so I did not catch his tour last year in Las Vegas. At Caesar's Palace, but I will catch him this year at the MGM Grand.
It's funny you mention Usher because like, do you remember that performance that we had back in 2018 downtown for the Equal Justice Initiative?
I
Usher
do.
was there.
I know.
Yeah, he
And
was
I
there.
really feel like
When
somebody crazy.
we were leaving, he was coming in on the golf cart.
I was
Like,
standing out there right by you, Mal. I was fangirling like crazy.
yeah,
And I was we couldn't be anywhere near him. And I'm like,
right.
I wanted to be near him. Like he's my favorite. So yeah. But other than that, I've met quite a few people, famous people in gospel music, um, in classical music.
Mhm.
My teacher is actually a famous opera singer, which I love her dearly. And I'm so blessed that she has allowed me to study with her. She's been really helping me, solidify my singing career and things like that. And she has premiered with the Metropolitan Opera. So very, very famous, Angela Brown, who I get to work with. So yeah, it's I get a chance to be around these people.
Okay. And next question. So you've done performances at schools, churches, events, etc. Um, of all these performances, which would you consider to be your best performance, or even your favorite?
Oh, that's hard, Miles, because I perform so much.
Yeah.
And I got back into opera last year. I had a blast on stage. I really did. Um, and it was my debut. It was my Italy debut, which was wonderful. Um, but gosh, I can kind of know, like, think about some notable things I was able to do. Like, I had a really cool opportunity to sing. I had never sang on a football field ever. And so
Okay.
I had a really cool opportunity to sing for the ASU military appreciation game. I sang God Bless America for that. And it was really cool. That was like big deal because I was in the center of a football field singing.
Yeah.
And I eventually want to do that at the Super Bowl. That's one of my dreams. It's one of my dreams to sing some patriotic song for the Super Bowl, if it's not the national anthem. And I do want to sing for president's inauguration um,
Oh
in
yeah, that'll
Washington,
be
D.C.
big.
I do want to do something like that. But I've done so many things close to my dreams. So it just tells me how close I am to those things. But I would say the notable thing would be the military appreciation game because that was really cool to be in the center of a football field doing that. And my debut in Italy because I mean it was post COVID. I hadn't been on an operatic stage doing opera since 2015, honestly. So it was like a comeback for me in a great way. So yeah,
Okay. And have you ever thought about recording music?
I have. A lot of people have been encouraging me to do so. So I'm
Huh?
going to work on that project soon, maybe. We'll see. But I have thought about maybe doing some spirituals or music, gospel music, because I love gospel music, to an orchestra and recording it, or maybe a little small string quartet and recording it in a studio. That is my next thing to do.
Okay. And this is pretty much the last question. And what advice would you give to people that are learning how to sing?
The advice I would give them is to have as much patience as possible because it takes a long time for the voice to develop.
Okay.
It really does. It takes years. Years of training, years of learning, years of not giving up, years of keep going and going and going, you know. So um yeah, that's what I would want to as far as advice. Try your best to have patience. Try your best.
Yeah.
That's because it's a process and it's a journey
Hmm.
and it's a long journey and it's rewarding. It's rewarding if you stick with it. It really is.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Dr. Anderson, that's all I have for you today. I appreciate you so much for your time.
Of course, Miles. Thank you. This has been great.
Yes, ma'am. All right. You have a wonderful day.
You too. And I hope to be hearing from you soon. I'm
Oh, you
so glad
will.
you're doing well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye bye.
Bye.